This is Brandon Clay. Thank you for tuning in to the BCS Daily Report, brought to you by Brandon Clay Scouting. You can follow us on all social media, Twitter, Brandon Clay PSB. Also find us on Instagram at the same handle. And then you can check our Apple Podcast and our YouTube TV. All that information right here on the page. Starting today, look at Meg Newman out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Elite 50 prospect in the country per prospectsnation.com in the 2021 class. She chose Arizona State this weekend. I had the chance to work with Newman on floor back in August in Atlanta, September in Indianapolis, and then again on the 1st of November in Indianapolis after watching a scrimmage Sydney Parrish the night before. Parrish going to Oregon, actually a 2020 kid, McDonald's All-American, Jordan All-American, so a lot of accolades for Parrish. And Newman more than played her part. Really love her curiosity. I had told, a reporter from Arizona State who called and asked from the Devil's Digest that the thing that I think is the most intriguing about Newman long-term is her willingness to go above and beyond. A lot of kids will show up when it's time to work and they work, right? They go home and they go do something else. TikTok, video games, they're not thinking about basketball in that way once it's over. Where Newman is going to go out and she's going to find information on the greats, right? Whether it's a Tom Brady, a Diana Taurasi, Dame Lillard, even back to Maya Moore, who I had the opportunity to work with, back in 2006 and 2007 during her high school days. Newman has that same type of intellectual curiosity about how to grow her game, how to be better, what do the greats do, what makes them great, why are they that way? And I think that's what she brings immediately to Arizona State. Obviously the length, the size, a legit 6'3", can run the floor, can shoot it. I talked about Kevin Love being a comparative reference long-term for her in terms of Love in Cleveland, transformed his frame, really got in elite shape, shot the three well out of the corner, became a very good spot shooter on those teams. Really like Chris Bosh in Miami with LeBron in that same vein, where it was a bigger player, a post player in theory, who still rebounded, who didn't get rid of any of the things that made them great, but also added the ability to let it fly from long range, which now makes it a really tough cover. It allows you to go small, put her at 5. It allows you to go big, put her at 3. You can do a whole myriad of things based on who you're playing. And in one of, if not the toughest league in the country right now, in the Pac-12, you need that type of versatility if you expect to have a chance to win conference championships over all of your neighbors to the north, or your neighbor over a little bit closer to our side of the world in Tucson, Arizona, who's also building something really special there. Turning our attention to Texas, Vic Schaefer, all eyes on him. Coming from Mississippi State, where he has been in 2 Final Fours over the past few years, won a championship on the bench sitting with Gary Blair at Texas A&M in 2011. So you think about 3 Final Fours in the past decade, that he's been able to be a part of, 2 of which he's been at the helm of, and has built something really special in a place, Starkville, Mississippi, that if you've ever been on campus, it is very much a college town and there's nothing around it. So, being able to get the type of players, the type of teaching, the type of coaches and staff even to matriculate to Starkville, if he could do that again in Austin, which obviously is much more heavy populated, a lot more going on there, day in and day out, and it is the state school, right? Texas is the state school. When you talk about the Georgias of the world, the Texases of the world, those places are really embraced by the community as a whole, and that's something that Schaefer's going to have an opportunity to really delve into and tap into there now as the new head coach at Texas. The AD Del Conte chose not to renew the contract of Karen Ashton. Ashton won over 70% of her games, but at those types of schools, especially with the success that Baylor's had also in state, it makes it hard for that to be okay. That bar is a little bit higher because of the success of the programs like Baylor, and even an emerging TCU and Reagan Peebly is doing there. Makes it tough. And the heat is definitely on there in Austin. It'll be up to Schaefer now to come in and really fulfill that. Celeste Taylor has already said that she's going to stay. Had a really good freshman year. Was up in the air, obviously, depending on who the hire was. Schaefer's announcement came out, and it didn't take long for Taylor to reaffirm her commitment to the Longhorns, and I would not be surprised to see Charlie Collier do the same. Schaefer will have his hands full in terms of coming in and being able to build it, but a much different project than the one that he had in Starkville. I remember spending time with him and Johnny Harris outside of Suwanee Sports Academy right after he had gotten the job. And one of the things that he said is, it's going to take us some time, but I think we can get it done. On that note, it will be interesting to see if Mississippi State keeps Harris in the capacity of now head coach, which potentially would allow them to keep some of those talented players, whether it be an incoming kid like Madison Hayes or an existing player like Mariyah Jackson from Michigan. Do those kids stay? Do they leave? And then the domino effect that's created there as well. Moving on to the Queen City, Charlotte Queens University. Jim Brown, actually assistant coach at Virginia Tech, just got the job there. One of our first orders of business was to offer class of 2020 available forward Mariyah Fletcher, part of our SMP program. If you have not researched that and you're out here looking for recruiting assistance, please do. It allows us to work one-on-one with you, your family, and your whole circle in order to try to help find the best fit possible. Fletcher is a part of that, plays for OMGTGE, part of the Brandon Clay Scouting family of club teams during the spring, summer, and then plays at Eagles Landing during the school year as well. So a lot of positive things happening for Fletcher. A couple of offers in the past 10 days, including the newest Queens offer. I really like the Queens job. You talk about Charlotte as a whole, great situation, obviously wonderful resources. Campus is beautiful. So you're in a position now where you can get kids, whether they're transferring home from different schools, maybe that have left. You're getting kids from Atlanta who are accustomed to a little bit more action and movement. Well, Charlotte is very much a busy city, and Queens is right there in the midst of it all, but still kind of tucked off. I actually talked with somebody yesterday who gave me the comparison of an Emory. I like that, and also like Oglethorpe that's here in the city, where they're a part of the city, but they're definitely separate from the city. So if you want to be involved in the city, you can, and if you want to be at home and kind of nestle away, you can do that as well. Look forward to seeing what Jim Brown does there and what Mariyah Fletcher chooses to do here over the course of the next week. Turning to the boys' side, class of 2022 forward/post, Tony Carpio, Pinecrest Academy. Really love what he brings to the table. Athletic, good bounce, gets up and down the floor. He actually came to our Brandon Clay Scouting Training Academy, our top 40, earlier in March, right before the pandemic kind of shut everything down. And one of the things that was most impressive about Carpio to me was his willingness to work. We went about 3 hours. Maybe there was a water break or two, but there wasn't a lot of gap time. We were in there and we were really going and kind of challenging those young men. And we really wanted to leave with something that we didn't know about them. And I think the thing that I took away from Carpio was just his willingness to go. I mentioned that with Meg Newman earlier, right? The willingness to come in and do what you're supposed to do and not be afraid to make mistakes, right? We were doing a bunch of ball handling stuff. Carpio was about 6'7", a bunch of ball handling stuff, bunch of shooting stuff, face stuff. And, you could see it was a little bit out of his wheelhouse, but enough where he was still comfortable with it. So we were able to make some progress. And I really like where he could go. Plays club with the Atlanta All-Stars, and hopefully we get a summer at this point. Obviously, spring periods have been canceled, but July is still up in the air. And if we do, he'll have a chance to showcase his skill in that way. So keep an eye on him. Talented young man, and obviously with the academic background of a Pinecrest Academy, is going to be able to get it done both on and off the floor. Sticking to the Peach State men's side, but a little different level here. We're talking Ashton Hagans, who declared for the NBA draft this weekend and spent his last 2 years in Lexington as a part of Big Blue Nation, playing for Kentucky. Went to Newton County High School, loved covering him during his high school days. Fantastic prospect. Actually was a finalist for the Naismith Trophy Defensive Player of the Year. Fortunate enough to vote on that committee and be a part of that mix. And he definitely was a deserving candidate. Didn't win it all. That award went to Marcus Garrett, who was very deserving in his own right. But Hagans really made a name for himself, put a stamp on the game with his defensive intensity at a place where it's hard to leave a mark, right? Kentucky's got a wall full of guys who've left a mark, and Hagans definitely did his thing up there. I remember an event in 2016, the Nike Elite 100, which is designed for underclass prospects, and getting to watch him match up with Cole Anthony. It was very evident that Hagans was fully aware of who Cole Anthony was going into that matchup. And I'm sure Cole knew who Hagans was, but it wasn't the same, right? Ashton was locked in. He was ready to go, and this was a moment to really show and prove. And he did just that. And you can believe Anthony got a technical. It was a great game, right? Both guys played really well, but you could tell Cole was a little frustrated, especially early, like, yo, who is this guy? And by the end of the game, there was a real respect level there. Went down to the wire, and just a great matchup. But it was in that moment that I knew how well Hagans could defend. Great size, 6'4", almost 6'5", good build, can do a lot of positive things on both ends of the floor. But right now, I think at the professional level early, defense is his calling card. You think about a Pat Beverly and the way that he's been able to impact the LA Clippers and the league as a whole with his defense. And I think Hagans could have that same type of impact as long as he continues to stay dialed in and in elite shape. Until next time, this is Brandon Clay. Appreciate you tuning in to the BCS Daily Report. Make sure to follow us on all social media.